It's another beautiful day, and we say good afternoon from this end. This is Nigeria Now from Equa Television International. And you know what we do? We beam our lights on issues that it's of a concern to Nigerians, you know, when it comes to issue of governance and those who govern them. And today, I have Joyce Jakada with me.
As always,
yes.
Pleasant afternoon to you, Sabo Suleiman. Good afternoon to our viewers out there.
Yeah, it is always amazing, you know, to do this show with you, you know, seeing your angles of thought when it comes to issues, you know, that is of concern out there, you know, particularly to Nigerians home and abroad. And today we are going to look at the issue of the report from EU, you know, during the 2023 general election, you know what transpired. I think on this show and other shows here on Equa Television, we discuss the entirety, you know, the process of the general election, the presidential, National Assembly, and then gubernatorial, and then state assembly. But we know that there were observers that came to observe, and then the local ones gave their own report, what they saw, and then their own recommendations to what they saw that is not right. And this time around, the European Union are coming with their own official report based on how they observed the general election 2023, the presidential and the National Assembly, including the governorship and then the state assembly. What's your take on their submission?
Well, the European Union Election Observation Mission, EU, EOM, have actually come out to say that the 2023 general election did not ensure a well-run, transparent, and then inclusive democratic process as assured by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. And you will recall that before the election, we saw how that so many international and even local observers were registered and they were addressed by INEC, especially on the expectation and for them not infringing or breaching the laws and guidelines of INEC and then the elections in general. And one of the international observers is the EU EOM that actually participated, especially observing the 2023 election in Nigeria. Like you rightly said, during one of our shows, The Choice 2023, we looked at issues that surrounds the 2023 election, reporting live what is happening across different states. And then a lot of, from going by the reactions of Nigerians and report from even these international observers, local observers, and even eyewitnesses, it goes a long way to show that people were disappointed in the process. And just like the EU observers have said, that the whole process lacks transparency and even it didn't show that it was truly a democratic process. When it is a democratic process, then it should be transparent. It should be about the people. People should have the right to know what actually happened.
Everybody should be involved. Yeah.
But by the time people don't have access to the information, to data in real time, like INEC has showed before the election, then of course you cannot but align or agree to what EU is saying, that it lacks transparency. It actually lacks, you can't target like, oh, it's actually follow democratic process. Because we saw how that INEC assured Nigerians that, see, this 2023 election is going to be electronic, like you are going to see results in real time through the IREF. But at the end of the day, that was not what happened. A lot of Nigerians tried to have access to the portal, but couldn't have access to it. And then even when you do, you don't see any results being uploaded. We saw how that even the INEC officials at different polling units arrived late. We saw how that at the end of the elections and such polling unit results were not even uploaded. And this is against even the INEC's guidelines that he said that, oh, as soon as elections is done, results are going to be uploaded and Nigerians will have access to it in real time. But at the end of the whole election, especially the presidential presidential election, it was marred by irregularities, operational failures. A lot of stakeholders spoke about it. We saw that how that even representative of different political parties at the Coalition Center in Abuja, the likes of Dino Malayi, got up to challenge the process. This is against what you were telling us. We saw how that in about 3 states, results that were collected showed the same figure, Gombe and Bauchi. How did that happen? So a lot of people said, see, most of these results that we're even seeing have stipends have been used on it, so many irregularities. And of course, some individuals, political parties, leaders have disagreed with the whole process, and that if somebody will emerge out of an election, then the process should be excellent. And that is why people tore the part of the tribunal. Case is still in the court, and hearings are actually being conducted, like it is now. APC are actually in the tribunal as they are turned to actually respond to all of that and give their own reports. So Nigerians, to some large extent, a lot of people are not really happy because of the assurances. And then going by the Electoral Act 2022 that was signed, people had high expectations. People felt, oh, this is going to be different. You know, one of the problems that we always experience when it comes to election in Nigeria is the issue of ballot snatching and all of that. So people thought that the introduction of this technology into the election is going to help reduce all of that issue. But it was quite unfortunate that what we saw on the 25th of February, especially during the presidential election, it was operational failures. Like we've seen how that even when we expected that, even if there's technical glitch, that you should see the INEC's Commissioner for Communication Information to come out and talk, but there was no information, not until the next day before we saw, oh, why you couldn't have access to the IRF is because of technical glitch. What is it? Why didn't you explain on time? So it made people lose confidence in the whole process. Even amidst, oh, these are what we observed, this is what is going on. At some polling, people were not allowed to vote. We saw violence. We saw how people even disregarded the Electoral Act, the electoral guidelines, and they went scot-free with that. We saw how the officials didn't even upload a polling unit, and they left, and nobody punished anybody. And so it made a lot of Nigerians not to have confidence in the whole process. But while we have a new administration, of course, the tribunal is ongoing right now with the cases that have been filed, have been submitted. But just like the EU have said, I'm agreeing to the fact that there was not really transparency in the whole process, and it affected even the gubernatorial elections. We saw how in some states the citizens were asked, oh, can you just go, coalition will continue tomorrow, and just before they return, announcement was made. We saw what happened in Adamawa, what happened in different states. We saw Lagos State violence, how that people were deprived from even voting. We saw in Kaduna how people are saying, no, this is not the party in Nasarawa State. This is not party that won, this person won the election. People were deceived, and it affected even the turnout during the gubernatorial, because people just lost confidence and didn't trust the process. So they felt, oh, why should I come out when these people had already planned whatever to do? It was just a day before yesterday that we saw how the President Buhari, through his spokesperson Garba Shehu, was saying, oh, we actually didn't remove the fuel subsidy because we wanted APC and Tinubu to actually win the election. That was why. So it goes a long way to show you, oh, what are these people actually interested in? Is it the interest of Nigerians as a whole or personal interest? So it goes a long way to say that politicians, as far as they are concerned, what they are bothered about is the next election, not even about the welfare of the citizens, what they need to do, what's the next challenge that we need to deal with. Poverty, education, the standard of education, dilapidated structures, roads, kidnapping, insecurity is not even at the forefront. But the plan always is, oh, we just won the election. How can we win the next election? So look at the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, how that the lack of the removal of fuel subsidy has aided so many like corrupt practices. How some people had a swell time smuggling subsidized fuel, amongst other things. Well, we hope that eventually, at the end of the day, that justice will prevail and Nigeria as a whole will win.
Like you said, the issues in the tribunal, and then all the beam light, are facing the tribunal, and then people are watching, people are collecting report. Like you said, the ADAs, Is it that it's been deliberate? You know, yes, you know, people are corrupt in this particular sector, but you allow them because you know if you deal with them, at the end of the day, the party will not win. But the question that I asked, you know, I said, we saw how the primaries went. Should we say during those primaries, primary election, is he with Tinubu? That's the question I asked after hearing that statement. Is he with Tinubu? What happened with the Naira swap, the new Naira policy? Who is the target? You know, these are questions that Nigerians are asking after saying, after making that statement. But that aside, what interests me about the EU report is the recommendation. You see, they talked about the removing of all ambiguities, you know, in the electoral law. They talked about, you know, the selection process of INEC members. That is from even the INEC boss himself to the REC. You know, those are in charge of the state. They talk about the real-time publication, you know, and access of electoral result. You know, they gave their own recommendations on it. You know, they talked about how, you know, it's important to provide more protection for media practitioners, you know, even as they report whatever is going on, because you know that you know there are so many restrictions to media practitioners, what to report, how to say it, and where to say it. You know,
Muslim, I'm really impressed that the EU observers didn't just talk about the like rating the entire process as just lacking in transparency or not following the democratic process, but they also give some recommendation, part of which is that like people should be involved, like the media should be involved. The whole thing should be in real time. There should be reports about it. You mentioned all of those provisions. I've always maintained that in other claims, it is the media that announce like election results, and then people don't get to fight, people don't get to resort to streets to protest and all of that, because they know the media are involved, they are part of the election process, they report in real time.
All attention normally shifts to
the media. So can we develop to that point so that we don't have to be going back and forth? Most time what you see in this part of the world is that people, for some personal interest, they employ people that at the end of the day will work and fit in their own favor. And that is why you see that even when things are not going right, the person insists because he already has a target or he has an assignment that has been given to him to accomplish. So I just hope that beyond such interest, beyond greed, that people will work for the common good and interest of Nigeria. Can we improve? The Electoral Act 2022 was supposed to give hope to the whole process, and we saw Nigerians, like we saw it in them, that they had hope, and no wonder the massive registration and even collecting of the PVC. But at the end of the day, all hopes, a lot of people went home disappointed. But like I said earlier on, everything is in the court. We await the final judgment. Well, as we await the final judgment, we hope that justice will prevail. We hope that at the end of the day, Nigeria would win.
Well, now World Bank are coming with a new statistics, you know, saying that Nigerians will be pushed into poverty. And I begin to wonder, is it that is it because of our policies that we are faced with this, or is a global thing that Nigeria falls within, or maybe is an issue of governance?
Well, Sambo Solomon, if you ask me, I'll tell you all of these factors contribute to throwing the 133 million Nigerians that we always talk about living in poverty. But just yesterday, during the June 2023 edition of the Nigerian Development Update in Abuja, the World Bank have actually revealed that Nigeria has one of the highest inflation rates, and which pushed an estimated of about 4 million people into poverty just between January and then May of 2023. And the Washington-based lender also said that about 7.1 million poor Nigerians would become poor if the federal government failed to compensate or provide palliatives for them following the removal of the fuel subsidy. And according to the World Bank data, they said about 89.8 million Nigerians were poor as at the beginning of this year. The lender noted that the additional 4 million Nigerians became poor between January and then May of this year, raising the figure to 93.8 million naira. 0.8 million, and it is going by this rate that they also added that 7.1 million will also be thrown into poverty. And when you add that 7.1 million to the total 93.8 million that the World Bank data is saying are already poor, then it's going to sum up to about 101 million Nigeria living in poverty. But you know, we always quote other private data organizations that have said, going by what is happening in Nigerians, going by study research and all of that, about 133 million are already living in poverty. But World Bank is saying that if palliative, as a result of this fuel subsidy removal, if palliatives are not provided, if means are not provided to cushion the effects, then more people, about 7.1 million people, will also be thrown into poverty. Already we have, as at May, our inflation rate is 22.41%. So this has contributed largely to the people that are living in poverty. For over 7 years now, our inflation rate keeps going high. So it means, what is the source of income of the citizens of Nigeria, how improved it is? Let's talk about the civil servant, for example. It is constitutional that the minimum wage should be 30,000. How many of the states were able to implement the 30,000? We still have some people that are earning 18,000, the 18,000 minimum wage, and are barely being paid. It was recently we saw how that celebration was going on in Benue because the governor paid salary. So people
after 7 months.
After 7 months. So think about these people that have been working without salary, and then they have needs with the inflation rate, prices of goods and services keep skyrocketing, and then you have to survive, you have to live. Think about the proposed or the alleged 40% tariff hike that was proposed by the likes of AEDC, Keja Electricity Distribution Company, even though they came out to say that, we don't have any approval for that, but still they are still telling their consumers that expect from June 1st there will be
July 1st.
Yes, from July 1st there will be increase in the tariff. So think about all of this, and then on a citizen that can barely boast of monthly salary or income, daily income coming in, and you have to survive. I was saying recently that if other products, just like the discos, as some of the discos are already coming out to say, we are going to increase because of the exchange rate has moved from 441 naira to 750, that we are going to increase tariff. So if other products and services are to tour the same path, then the common man will just turn to dust. Will turn, because you have bills to pay left, right, and center. You don't have anything that is there provided by the government that will cushion the effect. Like, since the removal of the fuel subsidy, one of the reason or the factor that the World Bank has attributed to more Nigerians going into poverty, just between January and May, about 4 million Nigerians were pushed into the poverty range. And because of this fuel subsidy removal in May, it is expected that about 7.1 million will still be added to the number of people living in poverty. So I think what is needful at this point is for the government to look into the welfare of its citizens. What can we do? Because the World Bank are saying if there's no palliative, if there's nothing to cushion the effect, then 7.1 million are going to join the poverty line. So I think the needful should be providing means to cushion the effect. There are other sectors that are also demanding. We have the electricity, we have transportation, we have education, we have health, we have other sectors. how can we look into these other sectors that we can invest in to cushion the effect for the average Nigeria or the poorest of the poor? What needs to be done? We heard how that some people were suggesting, oh, certain amounts of money should be shared. On what parameters are you judging poorest of the poor? How long will the 5,000 that you will share to Nigerians last amidst the increase in prices of goods and services? How long will it sustain them? The conversation so far has been about civil servants. What about the ones that are not working? We have over 40% unemployed rate in Nigeria. So what about those people that, yes, they went to the school, they don't have the job? What about the people that are just into businesses? What do we do to cushion the effect on them as well? So I think these are areas we need to look at so that we won't make life difficult for our citizens. So the government needs to look into that area. Like I will always maintain, the welfare of the citizens should be priority to every government. When you fail in that area, you are failed woefully. So it is very important that you look into that.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and it's possible. It's possible. All of these things that we are saying, all of these advices that we are giving here, it's possible. The government can just pick it up. Once the government, has a political will, definitely these things are possible. Yes, we know things are not easy. We can say the new regime are just coming, but one advantage is that it's the same party. So that means quickly you can look at things that you didn't get it right, the 8 years, and said, okay, how can we make it up to Nigerians, and then see how we will reverse certain things and then make certain things work. Now we're talking of subsidy removal because we feel that government are wasting money there. Okay, now we'll say for 1 month now, there's no issue of fuel subsidy, right? And then what happened to the gain? That's one thing. Where are we putting it? Are we putting it on infrastructure? Infrastructure that will later on give return to the citizen. What are we doing concerning the civil servant? What about the issue of the minimum wage that you said? Yes, it's by law, yet some states are not paying. Even the 18,000, some people stay 8 months, 7 months, without salary. And then you ask yourself, how are they faring? How are they feeding? You have somebody in a family of 6, 7, 4, and then some of them have children, that goes to school. Now you hear the issue of university, the tuition fee of university, federal university, to be increased to over 100 plus. And you ask yourself, what is that exactly that the government is even subsidizing for her citizen? This government is for who? These are questions that people are asking. And I feel like we always advise the government, this is the time that they will make a fast move and then think about the citizens, like you rightly said, so that, they will look the issue, they will look to the side of the masses and then do something that the masses will be proud and say, yes, the government is now thinking our side.
Like I will always say, Nigeria is a great country, and together we can make it work again. It just takes understanding of the times that we are in, just like the sons of Issachar, as the Bible rightly said, they understood the times. And if we do that, it was going to replicate in the policies and decisions we will make. And at the end of the day, life will be better for the citizens.
Thank you, George, for
Always
doing
a
this
pleasure.
today. Yes, and for the viewer, we will come your way tomorrow, same station, same time. Thank you, and remain blessed.